Hello everyone and welcome to Mr. Moser's Meandering Monday. I am in Raleigh, North Carolina at the North Carolina State Capitol. The Capitol is where the State Senate and State House of Representatives meet to decide and debate laws for the state of North Carolina. The history of the North Carolina State House involves a few key buildings and periods. First of all, in 1792, Raleigh was chosen as the state capital of North Carolina, and a two-story brick state house was built and completed in 1796. However, that was destroyed by fire in 1831. So they needed a new building, so the state legislature authorized the construction of this new building, which is a Greek Revival style building, and it was completed in 1840. This building served as the seat of state government, housing the legislature, the governor's office, and the Supreme Court. Because they needed a bigger space to meet, a separate building was constructed to house the legislative branch, which is the Senate and the House of Representatives, and that was built in 1963. This building now serves as the historical building where people can learn about the state government, citizenship, the history of North Carolina, and the capital city of Raleigh. And also, the governor of North Carolina, Josh Stein, still has his office in this building. Therefore, you have the original state house that burned, the state capitol that still exists as this historical building, and a new modern legislative building. So I hope you are going to enjoy today's experience. We're going to go inside, see what it's like in there, and maybe you'll even learn a little something. The North Carolina Capitol Building in Raleigh, North Carolina is 193 miles away from Clover. Take about 3 hours driving time to get there. As you enter the building and come to the center, you'll enter a round room, and this is called a rotunda. In the middle of this rotunda is a statue of George Washington depicted as a Roman soldier. Around the room along the walls are plaques and busts, which are smaller statues that honor notable people and events in North Carolina history. Come off the rotunda, you can see the offices of the governor, where he has met with his staff since 1840. You're not allowed to go in those sections, but at least you can see inside of where he meets. To get up to the second floor of the building, you use the west stairs. Prior to the Civil War, enslaved African Americans worked to maintain and operate this building. The marks on this staircase were created by the iron-rimmed wheels of the wheelbarrows they used as they carried heavy loads of firewood upstairs to fuel the various fireplaces in the building. Here's a better view of what the wheelbarrows going up and down the stairs did to those steps. As you reach the top of the second floor, you come to the rotunda. Down below is the room I showed you earlier, and this is a large room with a big skylight at the top to light this entire area. As we look over to the right, this is the room where the House of Representatives would meet. You can see right there. And over on the left is where the Senate would meet. This is the Senate chambers. It's not a very big room, so you can see why they had to eventually move to another building. Senators would sit at these individual desks like a classroom. The person running the Senate meeting would sit at that big chair in the front of the room. The House of Representatives room looks very similar to the Senate, except instead of individual desks, the 120 representatives would cram into this room and sit at longer tables. The person running the meeting, once again, would sit in the middle at that higher chair. And now we head up to the third floor of the North Carolina Capitol building. third floor is where the Supreme Court would meet. It also had a law library and viewing gallery for the public. On the third floor, above the Senate and the House of Representatives, was a viewing gallery where the public could come in and watch the senators or the House of Representatives debate their laws, create new laws. That way nothing was hidden from the public. In 1840, this room was the state Supreme Court. In 1843, the court and the law library was relocated down to the first floor, and this room was converted to legislative offices. Then in 1852, the room became North Carolina's first Natural Science Museum. Along the walls are rocks that they collected for the Science Museum. This room was the State Law Library from 1840 to 1888. James F. Taylor Jr. was the first official state librarian. He worked in this room from 1843 to 1854, earning almost $300 a year. Until 1845, only the governor, council of state, legislatures, judges, and clerks of court could check out the books. In 1845, public and citizens of the state were allowed to borrow items. The library continued to expand, and by 1887, it contained more than 40,000 volumes scattered throughout the building. And in 1888, the library was moved to the new Supreme Court State Library building. This 19th century coal stove provided additional heat to this room, and up on the mantle is a mantle clock from 1874. Throughout the building are various skylights to help light the building naturally. Outside of the building are various statues to important people in North Carolina history. There's also a Vietnam Veterans Memorial with a statue. And on another side of the building is a memorial to World War II and the North Carolinians that fought in that battle. I mentioned earlier when this building first opened, it housed the Senate and the House of Representatives. They all met inside, and as they grew and became bigger and bigger, they needed a bigger space, and so in the 60s, they built this new building, which is right down the road. You can see it there right at the end of the road. All sorts of people gathered around because that's where the laws are made and people want to give their voice. So the state capitol is right in the middle of downtown. You'll see as I pan around all the newer buildings that are there. So it is right in the middle of the downtown. So if you're in Raleigh area and you want to learn a little history, this might be the place for you. Hope you enjoyed it. Have a great day.